as a Christian who is actively on this discipleship journey, working through my trauma, working through wounds, scars, and everything in between, I want to be able to talk about my testimony from the real and the raw, but also what God has done for me out of that. And lately, I've been talking about the father wound on my podcast and here on YouTube. And I'm a teacher, so I always tend to express myself teaching others, but I'm in a space right now where I decided to stop taking clients, to stop mentoring, to stop teaching, and to just really focus on myself. So I've been talking about things that I want to help other people with, but from my experience. So the father wound has been one that has been like a major issue, especially because as a Christian, we are supposed to forgive. And sometimes it's hard to do that when you're struggling with forgiving your parents while they are actively the same, while still learning how to be Christ-like, because that requires like balance, like God calls us to forgiveness, but I'm still hurting from this pain. Like, yes, I forgive them, but I also want to have a conversation, because every time I do have a conversation, communication wires get mixed and it becomes an emotional blow up. And therefore I never got to express what I really was trying to say. And so it's pushed me to a point to where, well, then I'll just go no contact, because I'm not willing to bow and forget my point of view just because you don't want to hear it and you want to move past this. You want us to have a relationship as a father and a daughter, but you don't want to hear the pain that you've caused. You don't want to hear the impact of your decisions. You don't want to face that. And that's hard for me to deal with. And I've been battling with anger. I had a somatic experience May 24th, 2026 on Pentecost. And I thought Pentecost was going to be about, God catapulting my ministry. No, the ministry is myself. And it has been rough over here, okay? And just recognizing that I took on the role of being a father as the eldest daughter, middle child, and now I'm fighting for my life to support myself and to learn all these skills and gaps and deficiencies that I've had because I didn't have a father in the home. And not only did I not have a father, my mother was absent as well. So it was a double whammy for me, all while going to church. So I grew up in the state of eating from fruit. I grew up in the state of religious psychosis. And I know somebody probably like, why you just didn't edit this out? Look, I am so tired of feeling like I need to show up to the world as this polished person. No, I'm not. I just want to show up as myself. So with having both parents absent in my life, growing up in church around families, like imagine this, right? Growing up dealing with incest, molestation, abandonment, neglect, and all of the above, all while going to church, creates a state of psychosis, religious psychosis. And so for like the first half part of my life, here I am applying everything and over spiritualizing everything. And I was disconnected from reality. Everything was, oh, God said, everything was this, everything was that was out of alignment to my reality. It really wasn't even biblical. But growing up in church, you had all these rules. You had all these categories that you had to put yourself in, these little boxes that you needed to check off. And I never felt I could check those off. Even as a kid, I told me and my brother, we were like, look, we'll just go to hell at this point, because if it requires all of this, I can't do it. Like, I can't, and I don't want to do it. And so I struggled throughout my life to like figure out who God is. And that's why this whole journey of the pursuit of the truth, the podcast, and the discipleship hotline, and my book From Religious Psychosis to the Pursuit of the Truth, and my workbook about personal development and parenting work, like that's me. That's who I am. It's almost like I fought and clawed my way to not be a statistic. Like, statistically, I am a child of the crack epidemic that happened in the 80s. And there's a whole generation of us out here who are just trying to make a way. We're figuring it out as we go. Whereas a lot of people had parents that were active, that helped them with their homework, that attended graduations and recitals, and like I played the clarinet, flute, and bass. I sang in chorus, but I couldn't do any of those activities. If it wasn't done at school, I couldn't do it. So I had no life at all outside of going to church. So growing up, we hopped all over the place, from East Point to College Park to Riverdale to Clayton County to the East Side, Decatur, Clarkston to Snell's Hill to Decula. Like, I have literally been all over the place. I've only been there was a school I went to in middle school for one day. So, like, we talk about the outcomes all the time, and we talk about the final product of what we see in people, but we don't really understand what they've been through. We don't understand their life's process. We don't know what they were missing, what they did. Like, we don't know, And so as a Christian, as a disciple who's just trying to figure out life now without all these oppressive rules, because even in Ecclesiastes, it tells us that live your life, but remember, you're accountable to God, And so just wanting to be totally free from the things that has held me down. And for so long, I've always been the fixer. I've always been oh, Denise, can you help? I've always been the one that people came to. And it wasn't until this year where I was like, no, I'm taking off my caretaking role. Like, no, I'm taking off centering people. Like, no, I can't do it anymore. Sorry, I can't. And I'm not. But in that, I'm just like, well, who am I? Because it's hard to sit with myself sometimes. It's hard to be alone sometimes. Yes, I can do these things, but it's hard. Sometimes, you feel inadequate. You look at the things that has happened to you, but then there's another side. There's a side that God has kept me. He has protected me. He has shielded me through my grandmothers. And we didn't go to DFACS like a lot of other people did. I'm not saying that my story is less than or greater than someone else's. We all have dealt with trauma. We all have dealt with pain. We all have dealt with mental oppression, mental negative thoughts, whether that's hurting ourselves, hurting someone else. We've all dealt with it. It's just in different processes. And so as I've been processing my life at 34, I'm just like, bro, what is happening? Like, where's the American dream? Like, I grew up believing the American dream was gonna happen. Like, I grew up believing, like, bro, there's gonna be greatness. Like, when I become an adult, like, things is going to be fire. And I'm over here like, no, I'm on fire. And I'm trying to put out all these little fires that I have everywhere because I didn't have the tools. No one taught me, hey, this is a fire extinguisher, and this is how you handle emotional regulation, and this is how you handle difficult conversations, and this is how you handle understanding that you're not going to always be motivated, but it requires discipline. And hey, this over here and this, like, it takes a lot to raise a child. It does. And that's why I'm such a child advocate. And I focus on parent trainings, even though I don't necessarily have children myself. No, I don't. But I was a child before. I've been raising kids since I was a kid. I went to school for child development. I've been a mentor to elementary, middle school, high school students since 2020. And I'm a behavioral practitioner for the autistic community, the pediatric community, where I teach skill acquisition and behavior plans, and I work under a professional as a paraprofessional. Like, I've written books, workbooks. Like, I get it. I understand data-wise, analytical-wise, experience-wise. Like, I get it. And, like, as a person, I'm just trying to, like, get it out there, but I have to come outside of my bubble. So this is like part of me trying to find my tribe or community as well. Like, whoever comes across this video, please like, share, and subscribe. Comment. Tell me where you're calling from. Tell me if you can relate to me, okay? Okay? Because, being a Christian and a disciple, in so many voices, people telling you that you shouldn't go to therapy. You should go to therapy. Like, all these things, like, and it's not to take away the sovereignty of God at all. It's just that as someone who's human, who's learning about the magnitude of such a powerful God, sometimes we as humans need help to even understand what we're processing. And I'm okay with that. Like, I've come to learn to ask for help. I used to struggle so much with just simply asking for help. And I've learned that there's just absolutely nothing wrong with asking for help. So this father wound has been really, I thought it was a scar, but it's still a wound. And I'm okay with saying that, because while God is actively reparenting me, I'm reparenting myself and my perspective towards the father wound, while also, and as I'm actively processing what's happening to me, I'm able to use the tools that God is navigating me through. And I think that's such a holy, sacred place. Like, we think that holiness is rolling on the floor, acting wild and mad crazy, but it's not. Holiness is the internal work that no one can take from you. No one. Doesn't matter what situations you come up on, no one can take it from you. No one can take the joy, the peace, the kindness, the self-control, the discipline. No one can take those things from you. And so, as I have just been taking my autonomy back, full agency, I never really had that, because I had so many voices in my head, from pastors to family members to caregivers to old lovers, old friends, all these versions that I had in my head from what people have said to me. But when you take the time to pull yourself out of the matrix, because that's really what that is, like, coming out of the matrix is coming out of Chronos and then getting on Kairos, which is God's time. Learning that the reality that we're living in is totally different from God's time. And so it just takes a lot to be able to face yourself and to move beyond just being aware, to be able to examine so many things at one time. And that's why I talk about the topics through the formation pathway, because you can apply the formation pathway to every single topic. Awareness, examine, renew, respond, transform. You apply that framework to every single topic, every single wound, and you'll be able to process it. Now, it's not going to be easy. I don't know how long your process is going to take. This process for me has been for 8 years. I'm really just now processing how not now just processing, but really coming to the end of I did end up in a 6-year domestic violence relationship because my body was naturally attuned to that due to how I grew up as a child. Even though I said I'll never end up with someone who is like this, I still did. And so now being married to someone who is the total opposite, my husband is a mirror to me, because a lot of those personality traits, characteristics, and those responses naturally became a part of my internal dialogue, my internal framework. And I've had to spend these last 8 years unlearning that, to learning who I was before all the pain and trauma and hurt. I've been parentified since I was 6 years old. Now I got a telescope. I'm getting ready to put my telescope together so I can go outside at night, because I love being up at nighttime, and that's when my creativity comes alive, and I'm able to like write and process and journal and do my word searches and just really love me. Because y'all, if I can be honest, like the reality that we live in, like, you can make your world whatever you want it to be, is basically what I'm saying. And that's what I'm learning. Like, do what you want to do. Do what makes you happy. But you can't do that when you have so much unprocessed trauma, grief, and everything in between, while on top of trying to appease God through how you've been taught. And God is just like, I'm not that way. And that's why I talk a lot about God's character and who we are as children of God and heirs and ambassadors. And just, we got the sons and the daughters of God. But in Romans talks about that, you know. But I definitely can say, when you deal with issues that come up, it makes you feel like you're regressing in your progress, but you're not. You are just now safe. Your mind is like, hey, we're safe now to process this, to deal with this. And I'm just so thankful that I now have the tools to deal with that, you know. Being a behavior practitioner, being a neuro-linguistic programming practitioner, I deal with language and behavior very heavy, analytics. I will intellectually break something down that is emotionally overwhelming me, because everything can be broken down into numbers, like very simplified, goodness, you know, processes. So, yeah. This is my testimony of the father wound, you know. And, you know, another part of it is when your parents don't take accountability for the things that has happened to you. Like, they don't want to take the time to really understand how their decisions have impacted you. For them, it's, oh, I did the best I could, so that should be enough. And it's like, it's not. Because here I am as a whole adult processing my life, and I'm having to learn everything. Like, I'm enrolled in Coursera courses. I really think people should take the time to go back to college. You know, they have adult programs, because there are a lot of skills that, especially in the Black community, we just didn't learn. Yes, we learned how to clean up and keep a schedule, go to school, go to church, you know, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. But there were a lot of skills that my peers have that I didn't have, that I've had to learn through trial and error, that I've had to learn through being fired and losing jobs, and just a hard way. Like, it was not fun. It wasn't fun. And it'll never be fun. But hey, it's my process, and I'm thankful for it, because now operating my own business and, you know, facilitating the ministry that God entrusted to me, it's an honor, because I promise you, I did not see myself on the better end of things. But I heard a quote, or I read something somewhere where they said that if you've gone through the pain you're going to live on the other side of it, and this is me living on the other side of it. A lot of us as Christians, we're waiting for this massive blessing for God to put us in this big house and have this nice car and all this money in the bank. And that's how we know that we have made it in our relationship with him. And that couldn't be farther from the truth. The closer to God you get, the closer you recognize that he's working on you. And the tangible things, seek ye first the kingdom and all its righteousness, and everything else will be added unto you. That, though everything else, it gets added. The wealth, the land, the property, the money, the family, the love, all of that, it gets added. But what's most important is our soul, our mind, our will, our emotions. That's important, because that's what we will internally use to respond to God. So the father wound really did a number on me, because your girl was not going. I was not easily submissive or any of that. And I'm thankful for my marriage, because my marriage has also helped my relationship with God. Because I heard Dr. Miles Monroe say in one of his videos, I heard Dr. Miles Monroe give a message, the last message that I didn't personally hear it, but on YouTube, I'm saying, it was highlighted that this message was one that he gave before he died. And in that message, he talked about how we are self-governing, like God created us to be self-governing. And I'm mentioning that because one of the curses for women was that our husbands would lord over us. So that showed me that Adam and Eve had self-governance in the garden. And the one thing that God was looking for, they did not give accountability. And that's why, another reason why I love the story of King David, because he was a man after God's own heart, even while doing some of the most treacherous things that he did. And that was because he knew how to repent. He knew how to go back to God and take accountability for the things that he's done. Even though God may have warned him before he actually did it, he still came back and repented. And so in my marriage, my husband has taught me how to be submissive. And before y'all get in the comments talking all that crazy mess about whatever you're about to conjure up, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a healthy submissiveness with a husband who actively cares, who listens, who is not overbearing. He does not disrespect me. He does not curse me out. He does not, no. My husband always tells me, honey, anything I tell you is suggestions and advice, not telling you what to do. But in order to be in a healthy relationship with a man who has emotional regulation, emotional intelligence, mature processes before he does things, you yourself as a woman have to be that as well. But I didn't grow up around women like that. I grew up around women who play with men for their money, who use men, all while saying they didn't need a man, but were always entertaining one. Okay, so take what you will with that. So never seeing a healthy marriage outside of the one that I kind of saw in the church that I was in. But even in that, there were a lot of things about their marriage I really didn't like. So anywho, being married, it has definitely helped me understand how to submit to God. I remember one time I was rolling my eyes at something my husband was telling me. I instinctively heard God said, don't do that. You're disrespecting him. You're dishonoring him. And it was things like that that helped me to fine-tune and refine the things that I did, because that's what God, like, the Bible is a looking glass. It's a mirror. And the closer you get to that mirror, you see all the speck and the dust and the dirt and the grain and all the stuff that's not so good looking that you thought before. And so my husband being a mirror and learning how to have a healthy relationship, because my husband grew up with both his parents. He grew up with the village. I did not. So both of us come from two different walks of life. We think differently. I do believe a lot of my healing has helped me to stop generalizing everything from the lens of my trauma and the things that I've dealt with. I still have my perspective on things. People will be people, child. If people be peopling, I don't care who family line they come from. But yeah, my marriage has definitely helped me grow more in my relationship with God, and then that in return has helped me to become a better wife and so much more. Like, God is fire. Everything that he does is intentional. He knows the ending from the beginning, and y'all remember that song where he's a doctor, where she was in the closet? Do you have a closet? I love that song. She was praying to the Father because only he could do it. Only he could do it, child. As a 5-year suicide survivor, baby, I was about to be out of here. Okay. But Mercy said no. God said no. I'm still here. And 5 years later, I'm here to still tell the story. And so this is my testimony with the father wound. And I know that there are other people out here like me. And I have to say that we are not alone. Comment, what is your birthing year or whatever it's called. Like, I'm the eldest daughter, middle child. So are you the youngest? Are you the oldest? Are you the middle? Like, I'm just putting myself out here. But not putting everything out there, because I grew up in the 90s. So I'm analog to AI. So I believe in privacy. But I do believe that, at some point we have to be open. And I'm learning how to be vulnerable, because vulnerability is not my best suit. I'm open about the things that's happened to me because I share my testimony and I've written my book about it. But when it comes to people actually wanting to be like in my space and wanting to be my friend, like, I call people acquaintances. I don't do friends. That takes time. 90 days. We need to talk about some things. I need to see some things. I need to understand. That's just what it is. Like, the experiences I have had in my life has had me question everything in my life. Every relationship, friendship, marriage, biblical friendships, like all of that, business, how I look at everything. So that's why I say, parents, if you are not ready for children, please stop having them, because having them providing clothes to wear, food to eat, a car to school, a ride to school, and that's not enough, okay? And it's not enough. And if you think that's enough, I'm telling you it's not enough. Okay? It takes training to have children. You have to raise them. You have to teach them. You have to model healthy relationships and healthy culture and healthy habits and patterns. Like, you can't just be out here winging it and then have the audacity to turn around and say, why are you this way? Or how did you turn out like this? Or why do you respond like this? Or why do you have an attitude like this? Because of you. Your children are the total sum of you. Please stop trying to disassociate that. And maybe that needs to be studied, because parents are always willing to take accountability when the child turns out well. But if a child has behavioral issues and things aren't looking so good, the parent is always the first one to disassociate from it, as if this child magically just appeared this way. So, does your relationship with your natural father affect your perspective and relational status with your heavenly father? Initially, my answer was yes. And I've been working to actively change that. This is my story.